I'm Pallavi Naidu, founder and CEO of Alcobuzz. And today on cheerschatty, and I'm really excited to be here. Hi.
Hi Pallavi, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's Friday evening, so waiting for this podcast to be proceeding a little, and then the beer comes out or any form of alcohol comes out.
I already have my beer with
Holy
me, so
mother,
I'm a little ahead of you.
Is it a Guinness by any chance, Pallavi?
Unfortunately not. I mean, I would have loved, but today I'm having a diet.
Oh, fantastic. Great. Hey, Babus, this is Chatty from cheerschatty, and we have Pallavi Naidu on a podcast today. It's Friday evening. Our podcast today is a little different because Pallavi and me share a little bit of similar background. Both of us are from advertising backgrounds. Both of us have left that behind, not completely, partly, and got into something which is much better, that is beer and spirits. So without wasting much time, I'm going to head straight to the side of the bar where she is sitting, and we're going to be starting. So Pallavi, tell me, how are your first 5 dogs doing? Because the first thing that everyone reads about you is the introduction is your 5 dogs.
Oh, really? I am so glad. I think I would love to be known as the mother of 5.
Fantastic.
That's what it says on my profile. They are doing great, actually. Very happy through this lockdown. Happy that I'm home with them all the time. Happy and excited. So if you hear a random bark in the background...
That's absolutely fine. They are part of our podcast as well. We are very inclusive that way, you see.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are already eyeing my beer, so...
Oh, speaking of which, what are their names? Are they named after beer or any other form of spirits?
No, the first one is, so my first dog is called Whiskey.
Okay.
So that's how I almost named the second one as Soda, but I thought that's a bit cliched and,
Then Bottle Wala will be the third one.
Correct, yeah. Then that would be ice and, the other things.
Everything else.
Right, but then... Fortunately, better sense prevailed and I did not go after that terminology. So it was only Whiskey, and then we have Casper, Loki, Lara and Mogi.
Oh, fabulous. So do they feel the impact of the lockdown too?
I think positively so. They are very happy. Like I said, they just, they're happy to have me around the house all the time.
It's a good space to be in, actually. Also, I was reading up about you, and I was very impressed with your website. The most, what I liked was your entire perspective of life as a chair. The clothes, the clean and not so clean, and might go to the laundry, might not go to the laundry concept of life, which is where all the thoughts also rest. That's where even advertising started for you?
Right, that's a bit metaphorical for my life as well, that little chair that I have. And that's a real chair, by the way. In my bedroom.
Please send me a picture.
I would rather not.
Oh, okay.
It's really messy. I said, that is where I usually dump all my thoughts. The website started that way, as a dumping ground sort of for my thoughts and random ideas that I had. I needed an outlet to vent, basically.
Okay.
And that's how it kind of started. So the chair was the place that I would escape to after like a hard day in advertising and all the agency stress that I had going on.
Tell me about
it. That was my escape point.
Then how did Alcobuzz come into the picture?
That almost came in very randomly, if I can say so, because I was never into alcohol as such. I was obviously a casual drinker, but never thought of a career in this industry per se.
Okay.
That happened when I came back to India. I was in Singapore for 10 years before this, doing the agency live. I came back here. My first startup was actually on pets. So I have my dog, so that was natural progression for me. Yeah. But then after that, I kind of and this was, I'm talking about 3 years ago.
Okay.
So I realized that there was a bit lacuna in this space wherein there are not too many people talking about alcohol. If there were magazines, they were generally trade magazines that are out there. On social media, there was very limited content and a typical content. There was nothing that was relating directly to a consumer. You're coming from an advertising background.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you see, right? The relatability of it. And the relatability was missing.
Okay.
Right? So I thought that was an interesting space, I thought, that one can really get into. Bring a woman's perspective to it, to drinking. Yeah, and take it from there. The germ of the idea came from there. And today it's like taken a form of a magazine.
When I see your magazine as well, I've been through a lot of the issues and realized that it's not just about talking about alcohol and the education, the science and data and intelligence behind it, but in terms of what the social fabric, the culture that is there, everything else that's related around spirits too. That makes it very interesting because even if you're just a casual drinker or just as an enthusiast, you will be very much keen to understand more, yeah?
Right, and that was intentional.
Okay.
Like you said, the whole idea came from addressing the need to directly talk to the casual drinkers, right?
Okay.
And a casual drinker is not really going to be as interested in the technicalities of your drink.
Correct.
As much as talk about enjoying the drink so much, right?
Yeah.
So that is where the idea came from. So that the entire philosophy of storytelling, like we say, is based on that. The entire magazine is based on relatability and how well you can tell the brand story to the consumers.
And the look is fabulous, yeah. It's so premium, so chic and classy. So
Thank you so much.
No,
I'm so
seriously,
glad you liked it.
yeah, it's mind blowing because if not anything else, you just want to browse through.
Right.
Beautifully designed pages. The branding is awesome.
Thank you.
Did you ever consider going completely digital with it?
That's the funny part. So the magazine is 100% digital already. So for us, it's the other way around. So we do not ever consider being like a print edition. We are always 100% digital only. I mean, that also comes from the fact that we want to be a little environmentally conscious as well. We don't want to be like a paper-based magazine.
Yeah.
So being 100% digital also helps with scalability. So we can scale up the magazine. We'll have a lot more readership that way. And I think that's for us, that's the way to go. So it is 100% digital. You can obviously view the magazine on alcobuzz.com.
Yeah.
But we also have the magazine going up on Google, you have your Apple as well, and we have on Geo News and a couple of other Maxter and a couple of other platforms. The readership then hence increases quite exponentially.
Okay. So no, when I said digital in that sense, I meant was design it like a website. Yes, right now it's like a flip book thing, which is very interesting because you almost feel like you're holding a magazine. There wouldn't be a future where you'd want to make it like a typical website where you have a little bit of copy and then you press more and it goes to a different page. And
There will be a hybrid model that's coming up. I think in about 2 months' time, we are launching that as well. It's just purely in terms of SEO and shareability.
Correct.
That helps.
Yeah,
so you
correct.
have your individual articles that you can share, and you have individual SEO keywords that can land up there as well. So only from that point of view, I think we can do that. That's going to be obviously in hybrid model, but the flip book model is what sets it apart from the rest of the books and the rest of the magazines out there.
yeah,
So that's gonna
I'm a big
continue
fan
and-
of it.
Yeah. Thank you. So that's going to continue, and then we are going to obviously have the typical, I call it the blog style website.
Exactly.
That's pretty
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
that's pretty
Yeah.
much how it's going to be.
What's the ultimate vision for Alcobuzz?
The vision, I mean, can I say global, world dominance?
Whatever. You can say whatever you want, Pallavi.
Well, honestly, that is the agenda. I want as many people to read my magazine. I want people to be responsible when it comes to drinking. I want people to be really knowledgeable as well. They should know what they're drinking, right? I mean,
correct.
in India especially, and I can say like Asian countries as well, because I've lived across various countries.
Yeah.
The idea of drinking for the sake of being drunk, very prominent. I kind of come from that thought process that we need to change that. We need to
Change
get people,
mindsets.
we want to remind people. It's like food. You don't eat food just because you're hungry.
Exactly.
You all consider your taste and the texture and everything else that goes into it.
And
I
you
think
don't eat till you just puke it all out, yeah.
Correct, yeah. So absolutely. So same thing goes for your drinks as well. I mean, you should know what goes into making, because it is a fine art at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So you should know the entire process that goes into it, the flavor profiles and everything else that's there behind it. I think that is my agenda. I think if I can educate as many people as possible, get many people excited about it. If somebody, if I'm recommending a drink and somebody tries it and comes back to me and says, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
For me, that is the most satisfying moment. I think that is my agenda.
You also cover the advertising and branding aspects and the communication angle of alcohol too, which is what I noticed in a couple of issues. I think that's very interesting, because what the thought process that really goes into making a brand, whether even if it comes to a shape of a bottle or the way a name has been coined and how is it being designed. Because most of us take these things for granted, saying that if it is red and white and a little grey, then it's Budweiser. Of course, there's a Harp, then it is a Guinness. But there's so much of history that goes behind all of them.
Yeah, I think, and that also comes from the advertising background. You are, your mind is trained to look beyond all of that.
Correct.
There's always a story that the brand has to tell. Whether it is in form of packaging, whether it's an advertising campaign, or any kind of bottling or any promotion that they're doing on social media for that matter. So I think that is the holistic storytelling that comes in. So we kind of focus on that as well, because that also affects your decision.
Correct.
How many times we've been there, let's say at a duty free at the airport, and we picked up a bottle purely on the packaging, or
Absolutely.
purely on how it looks.
What catches eyeballs, yeah.
What catches your eyeballs, exactly. Telling the story behind that, I think that also is a big part of the education process that I was talking about.
Did you have any kind of adjustment problems? Firstly, you've come from Singapore after living there for 10 years. Then you come to India, and plus you're starting something new. So getting used to the country, obviously it's changed a lot. And the cities also have evolved a lot along the way too. So, and plus starting something here, any challenges that you face?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everything from a cultural shock, the whole entire process of having your own startup, I think that was extremely challenging. So just to give an example, I come from Singapore, like you said. So in terms of ease of doing business, so there's a worldwide index of ease of doing business. Singapore is number one on that list, right? So it's the easiest country to start a business, to get it up and running in terms of taxation, in terms of the paperwork, etc. It is extremely easy. But when you look at India, it is way down in the list. So obviously there's a lot of red tape, especially when it comes to alcohol and anything related to alcohol. There's a lot of red tape that is there.
Yeah, so it's not as easy as it is to drink actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that was a bit of a challenge. But then when we're writing about it, when we talk about it, and our main purpose is education at the end of the day, I think that made it slightly easier versus, let's say tomorrow I decide to pivot into brewing for that. That would be a lot more harder.
Oh, that's going to be one.
Licenses.
It'll be a lifetime for you.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare,
Also, being a woman, did that also pose a challenge to you?
Yeah, that's always challenging, right? I mean, given any industry for that matter, I think that's always a challenge. But what I've noticed in India, everybody has been super helpful so far.
Oh, that's
whether
right.
It is,
fabulous.
Whether it is brand managers or whether it is your bartenders or everybody that I have come across and I've worked with have been super, super helpful. So that way, I think this industry particularly works as a very tight-knit community. I think that, it is very easy to get across to people and they're always willing to help each other.
Very approachable.
Very approachable. That's one thing I've really noticed and I'm really thankful for everyone.
I think that's also a very big virtue about Bombay. People here are extremely forthcoming.
Absolutely.
That's a great thing. Where does, in terms of you getting writers and stuff like that for you to contribute for your magazine, how easy has that been?
See, I didn't know anybody in Bombay when I came in here,
that's right?
So so that was a big challenge. The network, creating that network itself was a big challenge. Throughout the year, I have made friends with a few people who are more than willing to write about, various topics that we publish in the magazine. There are people who write to me voluntarily and say that, can I write so-and-so topic? Or can I express my point of view on so-and-so brand? And I'm always open to that. So that is how beautiful. I feel the magazine, to keep it very democratic in that sense, I need different points. I can see, if I wanted only my point of view, I would have just started a blog.
Exactly. You didn't need to go through all of this here.
Correct. So it has to be varied. It has to have different opinions and different points of view. I think that's what makes it really interesting and readable.
I can't help but I'm going to ask you this. What do you love more, advertising or alcohol industry?
Oh, that's a tough one. But have you heard that saying that when you love two people and you're confused between the two, always go with the second one?
Absolutely. Right now, that's the second one.
Because if you love the first one, there wouldn't be a second one.
You wouldn't be a second one at all. Yeah, exactly. So
although, absolutely, I love advertising. I have loved my entire, time that I've spent in that industry. But I missed something that was thrown away. I think that's why I got inclined towards this industry, and I'm here to stay.
And most of we advertising people realize that we miss something only when we have a drink. That's when the realization hits us. And then we realize, it is the drink that is what is going to take us ahead. So why not just get into that industry?
You noticed how all the bars are there, strategically placed outside agencies?
Totally. It's like, I shouldn't be saying this, but you will always find the liquor stores also outside dance bars when they existed.
Right.
The Chakna guys also outside dance bars and alcohol stores. So it's good strategy. So at least it has helped us. So that's good for us. When you go back, you've done a lot of things. You worked with pets, you're doing alcohol stuff, and then you've been in advertising, worked on so many brands and so many agencies as well. So when you go back after a very long day and you again go back to that chair of yours, which you refuse to share a picture of that, but I'll take that with a pinch of salt. But how do you recap your day?
Well, usually the daily struggle for me is what am I going to drink tonight? That the recap starts much after the first drink. I think that's when the recap process starts.
Yeah.
Like I said, for me right now, all I can think about is a magazine. How do I get more people to read it? How do I get more brands to be on it? I think that is what occupies my thoughts the most.
Okay.
So the best way to do it is just pour myself a drink at the end of a long hard day, contemplate on how the day has been and what I have done throughout the day. Just go from there. I'm not a big planner as such. I don't plan ahead so much as like what am I going to do tomorrow or what am I going to do next week as such. But a lot of it happens organically. A lot of the support for the magazine also has happened organically. So I think I reflect on that. I reflect on all the positivity that has happened throughout the day. And I think that's what that has a snowball effect, and fully touch wood. So far it's been all.
And life is also like that if you look at it. Now, it can't be so planned. Like who planned that something like this is going to happen to us, to the entire world? But it has happened. So same thing, I think, even with our daily lives, so much happens, then you decide, why not make an idea cracks up over there, and then you start working on it. I completely, identify with that most things can't be planned in life. It's a good journey, at the end of the day. And especially when you can...
As long as you're happy at the end of the day, I think that's all that matters.
Yeah, and if you can reflect upon it with a drink, then what else do you want?
Absolutely.
The soul is spiritually at peace here.
Absolutely. With 5 dogs on my side and a drink in my hand, that's all.
Bus life set hai yaar.
Yeah.
So before we end the podcast, Pallavi, any last thoughts that you want to share with Cheers Chatty?
The last thoughts would obviously be, please go ahead and read my magazine. It's on alcobuzz.com. I would really request everyone to do that.
Please, people.
Yes, please go ahead and do that. We are also on Instagram and Facebook, so please follow us there. Apart from that, I think what I would like to tell everyone and women in general in this industry is that walk your own path, create your own path. This journey is so beautiful. This industry is so beautiful that even if the path doesn't exist right now, I think we all have that capability, to create our own paths and go ahead with it. I think that is something that we all can take away from my journey, from your journey, and so many others in this industry as well. I think that is the lesson that I would just really want everyone to take away from this.
It is a collective collaboration, because that's the only way we'll grow the industry. If we're going to be looking at it by saying that mera kya and how much I am going to grow, then someday we all of us are going to fall apart. So I think that's a fabulous thought that you have out there. So guys, that was Pallavi Naidu, and as she said that please go and check out her publications. Go to alcobuzz.com. She also has a personal website called pallavinaidu.com. There's lots written about there, especially on the chair that we've spoken in during this podcast. Okay, and I'm sure everyone has one chair like that at home or a divan or whatever, a sofa.
So people are going to be really curious about that chair after this.
Seriously, everyone's going to start buying chairs also.
Yeah.
Okay, babos, we are signing off tonight. This is Friday night. Everyone, please be good. Be good to the world. Take care of yourself. Please follow us on our social media channels, that is Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And our podcasts are hosted on Apple, Spotify, Google, Anchor, SoundCloud, and of course, YouTube. So please take care. Be good. Cheers.